Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, July 2nd, 1863. 2 years and 3 months into the Civil War, 337,000 men lie dead, over 13 times as many casualties as the United States suffered during the Revolutionary War. But after so much bloodshed, neither side has a clear advantage. The majority of the fighting has taken place in the southern states. But Confederate General Robert E. Lee, who is gaining a reputation as being invincible, decides to make an aggressive move and advance into Union territory.
Robert E. Lee decides that he will take the war north for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's going to relieve pressure on the farmers in Virginia who are trying to grow crops, feed themselves, feed the army. And second, politically, he knows that there is a lot of pressure on Abraham Lincoln to win this war. Northern voters, Northern politicians are angry that this war is carrying on so far.
While the Confederates were massing for attack, reinforcements from the 20th Maine Volunteer Infantry Regiment were called in, commanded by Colonel Joshua Chamberlain.
Chamberlain rushes his troops towards the Little Round Top. He comes to a crossroads, and he said there was an eerie figure in a tri-corner hat pointing the way to the Little Round Top, the right road to take. And he said it looked like George Washington.
Could this ghostly vision have been merely an illusion? Although the story sounds incredible, Secretary of War Edwin Stanton appointed a member of his staff to speak with a number of the men who experienced this vision, and it is said that he gathered unwavering testimony, claiming that the encounter was real. In the end, the 20th Maine would repel the Confederate attack on Little Round Top and save the day for the Union Army.
So you have to ask yourself, did extraterrestrials in some way influence this battle by disguising themselves as a familiar figure like George Washington, and then guiding the troops to a certain position where they knew this would turn the tide of the battle? It would seem that something like this happened. We do have clues that Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin and George Washington all believed in extraterrestrial life. Thomas Jefferson gave a famous lecture about the unusual UFO sighting by a person named William Dunbarton in Baton Rouge in 1800. Benjamin Franklin wrote in his Poor Richard's Almanac about life on other worlds, and apparently was a believer in that. And George Washington had a very famous angelic vision at Valley Forge. And so it would seem that George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin were very much believers in extraterrestrials and life on other planets.
Is it possible that extraterrestrials have been guiding the course of America since its very beginning and intervened in the Civil War to ensure that the great experiment would continue? Ancient astronaut theorists suggest further evidence that an otherworldly force was present at this point in history can be found by examining a recurring dream that Abraham Lincoln had of his own death.
He sees a body on the catafalque wrapped in mourning clothing. The body's being guarded by Union soldiers. He asks one of the soldiers, "Who is dead in the White House?" And one of the soldiers says, "It's the president. He's been killed by an assassin."
Lincoln's belief that he would rise to greatness and then die prematurely was something that was of long standing. And it's a testament to his courage that he fulfilled his destiny. He believed that he was uniquely suited to become president, to carry the country through the great crisis of disunion. And he, part and parcel with that belief in his destiny to become president, was his belief that he would be slain.
Could it be that extraterrestrials were the source of this recurring dream, and that they were testing Abraham Lincoln to see if he would fulfill his destiny, even knowing that it would lead to an early grave?